up, everybody? It's your girl, the Highway Diva. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. This video is for all of the drivers that's been talking about how the spot market sucks. Well, I'm gonna need you to put your pride to the side, get out your feelings, because you're about to get schooled by the spot market queen. Okay, you guys, I'm sitting here in Florida and I figured today would be the best day to tell you guys about the spot market. But before I get started, I want to tell you guys about some of the things or the myths that I've been hearing about the spot market. So some of those myths are the spot market sucks, the spot market are the scraps of the leftover loads from the mega carriers, and the spot market will put you out of business, and all around the spot market sucks. So I'm going to talk to you guys about why the spot market works for me. But first, I have to tell you guys that the spot market is not for rookies. And when I say rookies, I don't mean rookie drivers, because some of the people that are in this or have tried the spot market aren't rookie drivers. They're experienced drivers. But the spot market isn't for rookies, meaning those that are ignorant to how the spot market works. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys. So first and foremost, there's no definition of what the spot market freight board is. But in my definition of what the spot market is, the spot market is meant for business owners. It's a communication board of freight, a money board of freight that is meant for business owners, large carriers, smaller carriers, but in all total, just business owners communicating with each other, negotiating and doing transactions. Is kind of similar to the stock market. So if you compare, the best way to compare it is the spot market for freight is similar to the stock market for investments. So since I'm comparing those two, think about it. If you have a lot of money that you want to invest, but you don't know about stock, then when you enter the stock market, and you can't just go in there and expect to throw your money into there, and you don't know what's worth investing in or anything, you're going to lose your money, which is exactly why you're hearing complaints like, oh, I lost a lot of money on the spot market, because you will. If you don't understand the spot market, then you will lose a lot of money. When I first got my authority, I had 3 trucks. I didn't know anything about the spot market, but there was no other way. I didn't have contracts. They're not gonna hand you contracts when you get your authority. So you have to use the spot market. So if you are thinking, and one of the main points of this video is to encourage, for those of you that have tried the spot market and it did not work for you, I want to encourage you to give it another try in the future. The spot market, if you change your perception of the spot market, first let me tell you who or what the spot market isn't for. So if you have, since it's for businesses, if you have a truck and it's on its last whim, or it has like a lot of maintenance, mechanical issues, then I wouldn't suggest you dive into the spot market, because you have to spend more time studying it and understanding, having a better perception of what it is. If you don't know anything about the spot market, or you're just studying the DAT trend lines, that's not enough information. You will lose a lot of money, because you're going to go in there, walking in, expecting loads to just be available for you, and for brokers to be just throwing slingshotting loads to you with the top dollar rates, and your perception is going to be deceived or whatever, and you're going to lose money. So I'm here to change your perception of the spot market, so that the next time you go in and try it, you will be ready. I would suggest, based on my experience, because when I had my authority, I started 3 trucks out on the spot market. trucks were mine, some of the trucks were investors. And let me tell you, my first 30 days on the spot market, I did not earn a profit. And the reason, only my drivers got paid. The reason why I didn't earn a profit is because I was being lowballed and taking any load, and it got to a point where my investors were angry, upset, because they're like, oh my god, they were panicking. So in the way that I worked, I was very young, so I immediately said, I have to fix this, I have to save this. So I spent hours just going over the spot market, studying different lanes, calling people, talking to people. And let me tell you, even that did not work, because I just didn't understand. Looking at the board, I'm like, come on now, like, I'm calling broker after broker and it's just not working. I keep getting lowballed. So you know what I did? I got out of my office and I knocked on other doors, and I started networking with other larger transportation companies that work and move their trucks and move their freight with the spot market. And I started asking them how the spot market works. So this is what I learned. Spot market was not meant for just drivers. Have you ever called a broker and you told them you were a driver, and immediately, I am an agent as well, so I can look at it from a double side. So if you call a broker as a driver and you tell them you're a driver, I'm gonna tell you that the broker is gonna start rubbing his hands like this, because he's about to lowball you, because he realized that he's not doing business. He doesn't see you as a business. He sees you as a driver. He sees you as an owner operator. So I know that a lot of you guys are probably saying, like, what are you talking about? I'm a business. I'm registered. You know, this is the name of my business. So what's the difference? When I call, I give them my information and I still get lowballed. So why isn't it working for me? Just because you are a business by paper, that doesn't mean anything. You have to change your perception and your approach as to how you make that phone call. So I changed, instead of me making the call and identifying myself as a driver, I started identifying myself as a dispatcher for a larger company, because people, they're so used to doing business with larger companies, and sometimes they will automatically assume that you know the industry. But let me tell you what else is the cause of you being lowballed and not getting good rates. The way that you ask for a load, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, because I do coach drivers, that you call and ask for the load. Sometimes people say, I don't understand the myths. There's another myth. You have to know how to talk a certain way or whatever, or have good negotiating skills. Well, let me tell you from my perception, from an agent's perspective, if I was going to give you a load and you called in, believe it or not, the way that you talk to me and identify yourself in a way that you ask for the load, I am going to know, based on how you ask for the load, trust me, even if it's a few words, I'm going to know your experience and whether you know the market or whether you don't. So, for example, I had a driver that I was coaching, and I wanted to hear how he asked for the load. And this driver is probably going to know who I'm talking about, and he's probably going to call me later and say, you were talking about me, but I've changed, screw you, sunshine. But I have to put you on blast to use you as an example, to show people how far you've come, but I won't drop your name. So I had a driver who started out, and he was really taking low loads, and I showed him the different areas and everything, and he was taking low loads because his overhead is very low. So I started addressing him the way that I coach. And that's why I say it's not really for rookies, because even the way that I coach, like, I wouldn't be able to teach or coach someone on the spot market if you don't have that much driving experience, because you're about to level all the way up to a business level, and you probably need to take your time and get that experience and learn the basics of trucking first. But for the drivers that are out there that have been driving their trucks for years, but you just don't understand that side of the wall, keep watching, because this video is for you. So this particular driver, he's been driving, he has plenty of years under his belt, and he wants to get nosedive straight into the spot market. Doing that comes with this risk, because if you don't understand how it works, you're going to spend money or lose money either way. So I let my, I don't know, whatever, the trainees know that before you get into this, know exactly what you're getting into. You're not going to jump straight into it, and they're not going to hand you the golden ticket of loads. And it's not contract freight, so it's not a comfortable thing. You're going to have to, if you're going to get into the spot market, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone, because you don't have that safety net of that contract freight, which is why a lot of you can decide whether you want to do something more consistent and be under the contract freight of a mega carrier. I say a mega carrier because you're not going to just go out there and they're not going to hand you that contract. So if you're thinking about starting your own authority in the future, they're not going to hand you a contract. So guess what? You're going to have to remove that safety net and jump straight into the ocean and learn how to swim. But if you have a coach, swimming and making yourself up to the surface will be a lot more easier than you jumping out there on your own. You're going to lose, okay? Because I almost lost. So a lot of you, I've reached out to so many people, and I've seen different people go into the spot market, and I saw them complaining and everything, and I'm like, hey, reach out to me, because at the end of the day, I don't like to see people lose. But nobody reached out to the spot market queen, so therefore that's why everybody's all over the place saying how the spot market sucks. So let's get deeper, more into the spot market to give you how it works. Let's go over and bust some of those myths. Someone said that the spot market is the scraps of the leftover loads for the mega carriers, the loads that the mega carriers don't want. That is completely not true. You have to not take that myth and throw it out the window, because the spot market is nowhere near scraps. You got hundreds of thousands of loads on there. So those are very good scraps. So, and this is another reason why it's not the scraps. If you go on the spot market during the holiday season or different seasons, whether it's a produce season or the holiday season, you will see brokers and shippers, direct shippers on there communicating and throwing up messages, because it's a communication board. You'll see them throwing up messages saying, hey, between this date, we're gonna need 20 trucks, 100 trucks, 300 trucks to cover these lanes. Contact us, place your bid. If that was scraps, then why would direct shippers go into the spot market and put their loads out to you when they can go directly to the mega carriers? Why? Because the mega carriers are looking on the spot market. I would never rave about the spot market if I wasn't making money. I wouldn't want to hype you guys up to get out there if I didn't think that you guys could make money. And to prove that the spot market is for businesses, out of coaching the drivers that I have that has been through my agency this year, I've had about 3 drivers pull direct shipper contracts and create opportunities for us. I would say not drivers, but 3 business owners pull direct shipper contracts. You guys have been watching my videos. One of my drivers pulled a pumpkin load contract. Another one of my drivers, he specialized in stage show material, and he put a contract from Michigan to Arizona back and forth, secured his own direct shipper lane. And another during the holiday season, actually I take that back, I had about 3 different holiday seasonal lanes directly from the shipper for mail runs, which was secured by the drivers under my agency. So that just proves that if you get out here in the spot market, you got the right tools, if you have the right tools, you can actually succeed. Now, I'm gonna add a disclaimer because I know a lot of you are probably just still in denial about everything. But before I do that, I have to say, I know I go by the spot market queen, but that is just kind of similar to me saying like a CB handle name. That does not mean that I am the master of the spot market, because just as the stock market with making investments, and if you don't know about what you're investing into, what do? You hire an investment, a financial manager that is familiar with stocks and mutual funds, and they're going to take your money and invest it where they see it fit for your plan, for your life plan. It's same with the spot market, only you have agents. And I know a lot of you have agents and you're dealing with brokers and you have shippers, but you have to be able to get out there and step out on that line and see and approach it from a business standpoint. But the disclaimer that I want to say is this: if you're going to get into trucking from a business owner standpoint, you have to understand, one, the spot market is when you're talking about the spot market, make sure, don't put every equipment department in a hole as a total. Why didn't you succeed on the spot market? You have to ask yourself, what time of year was it? What kind of equipment were you running? Was it van? Was it reefer? Was it flatbed? Was it Conestoga heavy equipment, tanker? There are so many different sections in the transportation that you can haul. So when you talk about the spot market, you can't talk about the spot market in whole, because one area may be doing really well and the other area may have a decline. It does have different fluctuations. Now let me tell you guys this. Last year, 2018, you can ask any carrier, which you guys probably don't have those kind of connections, but if you ask any mega carrier owner, comparing, because we look at from a business owner, we look at our contract freight versus our spot market freight. Some of us as carriers, if we have our contract freight, we love contract freight. But last year, 2018, if you ask any carrier, the spot market freight, when it comes to van, was doing just almost the same as reefer, and it was doing so well that you had a bunch of drivers. I mean, as far as owner operators, we were loving it. Like, the rates were really good and there were no issues, and the spot market rates were higher than the contract, which was causing a lot of drivers to quit the companies and go into the spot market. Now let me tell you, in trucking and freight, sometimes the way the contract was losing and the spot market was winning. Now this year, 2019, between February, March, May, June, February through June, the spot market on the van side took a downpour. Now, I don't expect the rates to be be up all the time. It's the market. It's just like stock. It goes up and down. When you're doing good, you bank it, you collect on it, and don't spend it. But this particular year, I'm going to be real with you guys. This particular year, there was an unusual trend in the spot market on the van side. On the van side, there was an unusual decline. So you know what I did as a business owner? Instead of me crying about it and going on the internet and saying the spot market sucks and making up all kinds of excuses, instead of me doing that, I went and did what I did when I first got into the spot market. I went and started networking. I went to a bunch of seminars with networking events, which I posted this on my Instagram, and I started asking other business owners. I'm talking about, these are multi-million-dollar companies. I sat right next to them in meetings, and I got a chance to talk with the owners and ask them direct questions about why the van rates were unusually low at that time of year, at the time of year when they were supposed to be higher. So that's what you do when you're in the trucking industry as a business person. When something is unusual, then you go and you network and you reach out to people and find out what's going on. And I thought it was, there were so many rumors of that. They said it was a shortage of drivers, or not a shortage of drivers, oversupply of drivers or whatever, but we were talking about the freight tariffs. But I'm bringing this up, it led to the freight tariffs, and there was an oversupply because there was a scare about the freight coming from overseas, that there was going to be a limitations on freight coming from overseas in the year 2019, which caused the shippers to over order in a scare that they weren't going to be able to order. And so that's probably why we were doing so well last year in the van side. But then when you over order product, that's when the year 2019 you have enough, so there's no need to order more product and move more freight. So that's where the decline comes from in the downfall. But a lot of you guys were pulling van. But let me tell you something, when the spot market decrease in a certain area, as a business owner, you have to be versatile. You have to know when to shift your service to a whole nother level, or otherwise you will go out of business. You guys saw there were several companies, large van companies, that actually went out of business, and there was no warning or anything. It's because those companies, well, I can't speak for them as to what led up to that, but those companies could have switched. But usually the larger you are in terms of a trucking company, and something so drastic happens like that, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. It is more easier for a smaller trucking company to get rescued and make it through a storm than it is for a larger trucking company, because that means you have a larger budget, and it is so hard to make all these drivers and this huge company stick to a lower budget, because you will lose. And if you crunch the numbers and crunch your operations down too low to a certain level, it will cause you to bankrupt and checkmate. And that is why you see a lot of companies closing their doors like that out of random, because they were at that checkmate point. Not because of contract freight, because if they were pulling contract freight in total, then they could if they had enough contract freight, they would have stayed in business. But they were relying on the spot market a lot, and those particular companies, they lost some contracts. But if you lose both, just know that if you think that these mega carriers are only relying on just their customer freight, then you need to change your perception of the spot market, because both of those go hand in hand. I do business with almost every trucking company out there. We all work together through the spot market board, whichever board. Some of the main boards is DAT. We use those boards to communicate and barter services and negotiate. So you have to understand and come to the spot market with a whole new mindset. And if you're gonna come to the ocean, make sure you have your operating capital, because you're going to have to learn. If you don't have anyone there to teach you, then you're going to have money to get out there and learn your way around the spot market. Know what's moving. I am a social person to the point where I'm always in every group. I'm always in every meeting. I'm in every social event when it comes to transportation, because I have to know what's going on at all times, because that's how you run your business. And I'm not talking about the smaller trucking groups or anything like that. I'm talking about the networking events that the big bosses go to, because they're the ones, that's where you're going to learn real details. Now, you can learn about the spot market through different load boards and everything, but that's just commercial data that's put there, and it's not learning about the spot market by just looking up the article or something like that. That's not fully accurate, and it's best for you to get out of your seat and go nosedive into those meetings to figure out and ask real questions as to what's going on. Now, what was my strategy when the van rates dipped into nosedive down this year between February and June, which was really unusual, because at first I was telling some of my drivers to stick it out, because I'm used to around March, April, May, everything stabilizes and goes back to normal. But when it didn't go back to normal, you have to be quick on your feet and you have to get into those meetings. And when I came back with the results from the networking meeting and talking to the main bosses, I immediately thought about not myself, but I thought about my drivers, and I told them it's time for us to make a move. You guys, I appreciate you guys for supporting me, because I have a van side agency, but for the drivers who had really high overhead, I told them to make the same move that I made. Even though I don't have high overhead, I told them we have to switch to a different equipment, because right now the van side is plummeting and we have to recover and save our business. So if you notice, I had several drivers that switched over to the reefer side, and they said once the van rates pick back up, we'll switch back over to the van rates. One thing about me as a coach, as a business coach or freight coach or whatever, I would rather, and I tell all of my drivers this, I would rather you make your money and make your week's profit margins than for me to receive a commission off you just working. So when I came back with my report, I immediately called every last one of my drivers and I told them, this is the results of my research, and you guys are going to have to think fast, and I need you all to don't think about me, because they love me so much. I said, don't think about me. I need you all to go grab a reefer, grab a flatbed, grab anything but a van until this storm, to weather the storm and keep your business floating. So those are some of the things that I do as a coach, because I understand how the market goes. So now, as you guys notice, we switch. We were doing, although the spot market didn't really affect us that bad, because we were still able to maintain. I thought that January was going to be slow for us, but January was actually one of my best months out of the year. So, but as we got into February, that's when we started noticing the decline in the van rates. So guess what we did in February? And I know you guys remember this. We purchased a reefer trailer. We purchased a reefer trailer, and we were taking home through the holiday season, over $4,000 a week. And then as we got into January, it picked up a little bit, but then soon as February hit, it decreased, and we were making $3,000. And then one time it dropped down to $2,500, and we were like, think fast, because if I'm making $2,500, then I know that the people are up under me that look up to me for the rates, then they're gonna do worse than me, because I always get the top numbers because I know what I'm doing. So when I saw that, I immediately jumped and said, everybody has to move. We have to move. We move as a unit. Everyone that's under my agency, we move as a unit. And I am one of the lead communicators that go out and grab the information and bring it back to them, because they're not always allowed the same the opportunities as me. They're not, some people don't walk through the same doors. You know, it's not like they announce these networking events out publicly. They announce them privately. So that's another thing. How do you get access to be able to go to those meetings, to get into those meetings? These are the things that you have to understand when you're getting into this trucking industry and you want to grow and launch up a successful fleet. So don't go after the spot market. You can do, and I know you guys have been seeing this, you can do, the reefer market is doing really good. The van rate, just to let you guys know, it has picked back up. My team truck just booked the load the other day. It was going 743 miles, paying $2,400. So that should let you guys know, when I post my settlements and I post my sheets out there, it's because I want you guys to see live in action what is going on. But I wasn't posting in February, from February to June, about the van side, because I was behind closed doors talking to my drivers or team members, my partners, and telling them we have to move. So I was coordinating everyone to make the switch. So now we're back up, everything's doing good, but I don't want you guys to judge the spot market based on your first experience. I want you to change your perception of it and step into the spot market as a business owner and with a business mindset, and not as a driver. And I know that I'm not giving you guys enough details into this video, but I hope you get the basic gist of it, of changing your perception of the spot market. But let me tell you this, in order to change your perception of the spot market, you guys have to change your perception of how you guys look at brokers and how you guys look at brokers. I can't even say shippers, because you guys love shippers. If you get a direct contract from a shipper, then you're gonna love it. But you have to change your perception of how you look at brokers, because if you've ever had your broker license or anything and you saw how hard it was to go and get a contract, a direct shipper contract, you would have the same amount of respect for the brokers as you would as a driver. Although you're not, I know it's not equal to your you driving a load, but it's not easy getting those contracts. And I'm not going to agree with the fact that yes, brokers do take it a little bit too far with the taking advantage of drivers, but from a business standpoint, the trucking industry is not a nice industry. It's a very ruthless industry. It's a numbers industry. It's similar to the stock market. It's not nice. It's ruthless. And when you're coordinating your business, you have to be very meticulous and articulate, and you have to know and respect the industry and know that this is a I don't know, a doggy dog world. It's a rough industry, and they're not going to go, everybody is pretty much, when it comes to the broker, he has to feed his family and he has to get a good rate as well. And if a small fish comes along and he's a shark, it's just a, predator versus prey similar thing. And let me tell you guys, I get played sometimes too. Like when I decided to change over to the reefer industry or whatever, switch over to the reefer, I did a load which I thought was really paying really good. It was paying well over $2.50 a mile. But then when I saw the work order of how much the broker really got for it, he got paid $1,000 more on the load. So I underbid it myself, but I said, dang, you know, this dude just got $1,000 profit on me. So I respect his hustle. You know, instead of me saying or crying about it saying you got me, I respect his hustle. And if you're a broker or whatever and you want to get into that industry, like there's so many avenues in trucking that you can get into and make lots of money. So don't cry about it. You need to pull your freaking pull your big girl underwear up and get out there and step into the spot market like a business owner, and make sure you come prepared. Some of the things that can prepare you is make sure you come with decent equipment. Anything that is holding you down is at odds against you already for your learning experience. So make sure you come with, it doesn't have to be new equipment, but you don't want to come with really old equipment. But if you do come with old equipment, then don't expect to make a lot of money and your equipment can't move to make that money. You know, you have to be wide open. That truck has to be equipped and ready, locked and packed with everything to get out there and make that money. So you have to understand the lengths of what your equipment can do. If your truck has like 1,000,000 miles on it or something like that, then you can't run that truck cross country making loads and loads of money, because at that time it's time for you to get your engine work done to it, and you need to redo that truck, you know, overhaul that truck and get it fixed, or limit your truck, run it local. You got to know what to do with your equipment, but don't come into the spot market with all these expectations and you don't even know the basics of how the spot market works. Now, I'm going to close this video at that. If I helped you guys, any of you guys understand the spot market, then what I want you guys to do is drop down in the comment section below the queen emojis. That represents spot market queen. If you disagree with anything that I said in this video, then I look forward to also seeing that in the comment section below. That's all, folks. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Spot market queen out.